Hello and welcome to Coronacrisis. My name's David Haythornthwaite and I'm the chairman of AFC Fylde. And over the next few weeks and months, I'm hopefully going to take you through what goes on behind the scenes of a non-league football team at times like this. We're going to discuss all the issues regarding behind the scenes, the players, off-field staff, all the things that contribute to the running of the club, and how we're dealing with the issues that are being thrown at us on a daily and weekly basis, so that it gives you a really good insight to the club and the running of clubs in general. So I look forward to you joining me on this journey.
David, thank you and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Scenes at AFC Fylde. Today, if we can, we would like to talk to you about just current updates on. We had some questions still regarding the league in previous episodes, so we're just looking for updates on anything that's going on.
Okay, so I think when we last spoke, we'd submitted our vote. The league had been asked, all the National League itself, and then the North and South divisions, feeder divisions also, and that was all submitted. I think had to be in by May the 2nd, and everybody responded. As far as I know, I think 90% responded, and we're expecting to have a pretty quick decision on whether the playoffs were going to take place. A meeting then took place, I think, last Tuesday of the National League, and at that time, if you remember, Adam, I think Rick Parry had basically said with the EFL that League One and League Two probably weren't going to finish, and decisions needed to be made because of financial situation within days. So the EFL, the National League, sort of postponed their decision because they were going to see what the EFL were going to do. And I think when we last talked, you remember, which was last Thursday, a week ago, we were expecting to hear from the EFL on the Friday. We never did. And in actual fact, even as we speak now, a week later, we still don't know what the EFL is doing. I'm not sure the EFL maybe know themselves what they're doing. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy going on at the moment about actually playing the Premier League. I mean, it seems that they're determined to play these games. It moves every day as it does in a crisis. What's happening? We've obviously heard the talk about neutral grounds, and then a lot of the clubs at the bottom don't want to play on neutral grounds. So now I understand again the latest sort of update I've heard is that they're going to accept to play at their home ground. But I think there's still a long way to go on that, and certainly the testing, they're talking 4 million, aren't they, for testing? I think that's a widely accepted number of a minimum 4 million, which I suppose the Premier League would argue quite simply is that, look, if we lose 500 million from Sky and it costs us 4 million, it's a drop in the ocean. So that probably does make sense. I still don't believe this should be happening myself. I really don't. I think the risks are too high. I don't think it particularly sends the right message. I know what it's all about. We all want to get back playing football and things like that, but I'm still not convinced. Lower down, of course, we've then got the Championship, which kind of operates or seems to operate on itself within the EFL, and then sort of League One and Two, which seem to be grouped together. The Championship, I don't really understand what's happening at the Championship at the moment. What's going on there? I've seen that some teams, I think, have started training possibly, and League One and Two, I think they're just basket cases at the moment. I think they all, want to finish, but I don't know whether they're still waiting for the EFL to decide or what's going on. But we're in a state of flux. And therefore, because of that, unfortunately, because our league is waiting for League One and League Two to make a decision, nothing's happened. And if you remember right back at, when we started these interviews, Adam, I said to you at the time, everything's going to be driven by the Premier League. And that's how it's panning out really, because whatever the Premier League decide, at the risk of repeating myself, the whole thing about promotion and relegation, or in this case only relegation from the Premier League, is the key, isn't it? Because if that doesn't happen, then nothing else can happen really. So I think they're waiting. I think also if the EFL make a decision, they'll then make a decision on how they finish the season. And I think if they make a decision on how they finish the season, such as null and void or points per game or whatever, I think it then kind of lets the National League off the hook a little bit, and they say, well, we're just going to follow what they've done. They've done that. So if it's good enough for EFL, it's good enough for us. So that's where we're at really on that. And I don't think, every week I think there'll be some more developments. There hasn't been. And so that's where we are.
Do you think there could be a situation where potentially they're still finishing games and we could be back in pre-season and, one league's not finished as we're preparing for a new season to start, and then there's a gap there, and how long could this take to sort?
Yeah, I think it's widely accepted that there won't be any games with crowds before the new year. I think that's pretty much accepted, unless there's some radical change. I think everybody agrees with that. So the real question is, do you start the National League without crowds? And that is the big, decision that's got to be made. And again, I am slightly disappointed that, those issues which can be addressed now aren't being addressed, because we need to plan as clubs. And we it's clear to me that starting the league behind closed doors at National League is very difficult, because we cannot get any revenue at all. It's no good anybody talking, and I think I've mentioned this before, about streaming at our level. It's not going to happen. There's no interest. One or two of the bigger clubs might benefit with big followings and big crowds. There's not many of those in our league. Maybe Notts County got a decent fan base. Stockport got a good fan base. After that, I think you're struggling a little bit to find, possibly Chesterfield. Hope I'm not, insulting anyone, but those 3 or 4 big clubs, they may be able to get streaming, but then even then, I think it's doubtful, because it's very expensive to do that, and there you get a return really on your money. So I think starting the league without crowds is a decision we've got to make quickly. Either we're going to or we're not. And if we're not, then I think that allows all of us to therefore prepare for, shall we say, pre-season, which would be strange, wouldn't it, in December, and start in January, and maybe extending the season through to June. I said from the beginning, what I don't want to see happen is us to have a sort of bad start, bad end to this season, and then a sort of bad start to the next one. Let's finish this season and make sure we're planned and have a good start to the next one.
With the recent government news about the furlough scheme being extended as well, potentially till October, does that allow National League clubs especially, as well as League One, League Two, buy them a bit more time to work out what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's again, I never cease to be amazed by the government's generosity, I suppose. I suppose I said many times, after all, it is our money, and maybe you could argue they're giving us our money back in taxes. I think most of it in actual fact is being borrowed, so that's been a good decision, and certainly not something that I expected. They have now guaranteed that they'll pay the furlough money in full through to July, end of July. So that's really helpful for us and everyone else. After that, it will then be a contribution from companies, and I think this is going to be staggered based on the industry. We haven't seen that detail yet. I said once we see the detail. He did use the term that the government would still pay the lion's share. So again, what does lion's share mean? It could mean 51%, or it could mean 70%. So I think that we need to see the detail on that, but certainly really, really welcome news for all football clubs, and Fylde being no different.
And I don't think we've asked you for certainly a couple of weeks. Your businesses as a whole, you've been quite open in admitting to everyone that your main businesses feed and help the football club. So in these times, are those businesses doing well?
The businesses are, as I said, quite well protected in the industries that we're in, Adam. Having said that, our April numbers and currently where we're at, sort of 12, 13 days into May, we're about 20-25% down on where we expected to be. So that's globally, we're a global company. So in some areas, we're doing quite well. We've got a lot of business in Korea, and the Koreans have continued to be good customers of ours. Thailand, we do a lot of business in Thailand, it's quite good. On the other hand, we've been devastated in Italy. We've been devastated in Spain. Our American operation, which had just got started, is almost dead itself. So it's a mixed bag, but we're certainly in a lot better position than a lot of companies. So I'm grateful for that, and I think that we just got to batten down the hatches, which we have done, make the adjustments, which we have done, and see how it progresses. I think that we're going to see a better picture in June and probably July, when it sort of flattens out and we see exactly what's happening. But at the moment, we're not in too bad a shape, Adam.
So just to summarise on the club matters as a whole, has it left you quite frustrated that you're not able to give the updates you want to give at the moment? It's just a waiting game.
Well, look, these programs aren't just designed for me to be able to give updates. I mean, this is the great thing about this. It's live, isn't it? And we're able to discuss what's going on every week. And sometimes, as in the news, there's no news some weeks, is there? And then other weeks they've got great news stories. So this week's been fairly, or shall we say, the last week has been fairly quiet on the football front, certainly.
And the final question from me on this would be: you sent a letter out to the players and some staff about taking up a job opportunity within your factory. Has that been well received? Yeah, it's it's something that I said last time we met, that I was conscious that there's quite a lot of the players have young families, mortgages, like many of us, bills to pay, and although we're paying them 80% of their actual wage, there was still obviously a 20% shortfall, and sometimes that 20% can mean a lot. So we sent a letter to all employees at Fylde. They are, as people know, you are allowed to take another job when you're furloughed. The football club is a separate entity to my other business, so it qualifies that people could come and work, and I thought it was a good idea to try and offer that help. Been a mixed bag, Adam. I have to tell you that within sort of 24 hours of sending the letter out, we've got 3 people who are, shall we say, off-field personnel. So we've got Jonathan, who's in sort of marketing sales department. Jonathan, 18. He started on Monday, doing a full 40-hour shift. Got Katie Padgett, who's our fan liaison officer, and she started Monday as well. She's doing a 40-hour shift. And I think we've also taken on one of the young lads, 16-year-old apprentice, who's been assistant kitman. And he's been started. I think he started last night, actually. The only person we haven't been able to accommodate so far is our kitman, and unfortunately, the only shift we had for him was nights. He's not able to do that because his wife has a job and he needs to look after the kids at night. So, yeah, been a good reaction from sort of support staff, shall we say. At the moment, I haven't had any take from any of the footballers. We've contacted most of them.
most of them say that they're okay at the moment. So that's good. If they're okay and maybe not 100% happy, but okay and don't need any more money, then that's great.
And that offer will continue, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, there's still offers there. There's only, as I said last time, so many we can't take on everybody. So if everybody had said they wanted a job, we'd have had to sort of divvy it up a little bit. But no, it's working well.
Great. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.